Well, I am feeling very blessed that you have allowed me to come through today to answer your questions about me. And so it's time for you all to start understanding that no form of being is ever left to their own devices completely. It's just like you would not put students in a schoolhouse and then not expect them to have any teachers there. And so it was always conceived that Source would create the planet and there would be an evolution of different sorts of everything from the very small cellular up to the actual humans who would reside here, and that you would have guidance. And if you will, I was one of those aspects of consciousness that chose to be here for this planet in support of this planet the entire time. And so part of that group, holding the space of the divine feminine and all the sorts of qualities that the divine feminine brings.
Welcome, beautiful souls. Get ready to become awesome with Tracy J, channeling Brigit.
Hello, I'm Tracy J. Welcome to our Becoming Awesome channel. Today I'm going to be talking to Brigit, also known as the goddess Brigid, Saint Brigit. And I believe now also, yes, she has confirmed for me. I have often seen her in the form of an angel, and she is now assisting us through the angelic realm. So I would like her to first speak about this, because I have seen this pattern before. Really, I encountered her because when I'm doing sessions for people, I know one of the things they love is if I can help identify any members of their team for them. And I saw this stunning redhead, long hair, the pale skin, very beautiful, but also dressed very simply. And so I think I first encountered the form of her that was Saint Brigit, known mainly in Ireland, and then later kind of throughout the Celtic regions and down into Wales and France as well. But I certainly find her being a team member for people in the US and all over the place. So she is definitely out there a lot now. So we'll be asking her about that. Now, my understanding is people who are saints are generally given that title because they devote themselves to spirit, to whatever, a certain religion, and they create miracles. So she is known for having created the miracle of her cloak. She asked a king to provide her with land to build a monastery. And he, as a way to get out of this, said, "Sure, I'll give you as much land as your cloak will cover." And so she asked for a miracle, and as she spread out her cloak, it just extended in all directions until it covered the land large enough for a monastery for her to build on. She's also known for healing the blind, lepers, even raising people from the dead. And in a very funny fluke, the priest who was meant to make her, I believe, a nun, actually was drunk the day that he set about doing the ceremony from her, read from the wrong passage, and so he actually made her a bishop instead of a nun. So who knows how much of that remained, but nevertheless that was recorded. She got recorded as a bishop. So kind of a fun history of who she was when she was a saint. So let's begin by bringing in Brigit, and allowing her to talk to us about how her consciousness has come through in so many different forms. Well, I am feeling very blessed that you have allowed me to come through today to answer your questions about me. And so it's time for you all to start understanding that no form of being is ever left to their own devices completely. It's just like you would not put students in a schoolhouse and then not expect them to have any teachers there. And so it was always conceived that Source would create the planet, and there would be an evolution of different sorts of everything from the very small cellular up to the actual humans who would reside here, and that you would have guidance. And so we know the channel Tracy has also brought messages to you from the crones of all ages. And if you will, I was one of those aspects of consciousness that chose to be here for this planet, in support of this planet the entire time. And so part of that group, holding the space of the divine feminine and all the sorts of qualities that the divine feminine brings, whether in a man or woman's physical body. Yes. And so when you are in the denser parts, and before you had a chance to really raise your consciousness levels much, the main way that we could get through to you is to send through the artists, through the writers, through those who could have the seeing, the far sight, as it might have been called then, images of gods and goddesses who had certain qualities and could communicate with those that did have the thinning of the veils for them, that could perceive of the gods and goddesses. And it spread through the stories, word of mouth, about their qualities and what they could do, and people learned to tune in and focus on these gods and goddesses. And so yes, I was in fact known as Brigit, and I was a goddess, and I was a very beautiful red-haired, white-skinned goddess who first appeared up in the very northern regions, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, all throughout those areas, but later became more known throughout France and other areas of Europe as well. And so then, once I had fulfilled on everything I felt I could do as a goddess, and the earth had expanded more, and the humans were ready for more of a guidance coming from an actual physical being, I chose to incarnate from a father who was a very well-to-do man and a wife who had been a slave. And so this gave me a very broad, expansive experience. I actually lived as a slave for quite a while, but of course, those of us who choose to incarnate with that high of a consciousness, we do so without the complete memory wipe, if you will, that the rest of you come in with, and with guides from the other sides that help make sure that we are able to fill on the soul mission that we came in with. And so mine was to, through the service of being a nun, through an actual religion, but to help people see the greater aspect of what Christianity was than had been understood by men in their early conception of Christ's messages. And so in what I did, I brought in those extra qualities that somehow didn't really get captured in the Bible, and put more emphasis on the beauty that was there and the messages about how you were always meant to become that which Christ was and even more. And as such, I was given the ability to create miracles and helped people along with that, which was mainly just a way to have my message better received and better spread out through humanity to help with this evolution. And then because, of course, I was a true physical body, I spent my time and passed in around, 535 or so, something like that. And but I was well loved, and so things were named after me, and the spirit that I had tried my best to represent became something that was known. And even today, the spring springtime ceremony that I always carried forth is the beautiful reawakening of the earth and the new possibility and the hopes for great abundance in the crops and everything that I would always do for humanity every spring is reenacted in many places. So then I spent a while back in the all that is, and still had my love for the earth and for the humans, and so I decided to take the form of the angelic realm, as there are more and more of you who could start to begin to connect to the etheric realm, and that in this way I was not limited to one location and I could serve many instead of few and be a guide for many of you. So I tend to attach myself to those who are shining the light of the message of how humanity is meant to be in its greatness, in its connection to the divine realm, and then manifesting from there here on your earthly plane. And so I am on the team of people who are holding that light and helping them in the times where they are given negative feedback from people around them about what it is they are trying to do, those who cannot believe in such things, giving them the spirit and the strength to continue giving their messages and the likes of that. Also, I have a special gift for you now that I'm in the angelic realm, and that is, and this is in service just to all of you humans. I know that you often have regrets about things. You're in a high state of emotion and something happens and someone approaches you and says something that's not to your liking, and you respond in a angry or negative way, and you have regrets later, and sometimes everything blows up until you're actually no longer in communication with family members or people who were formerly good friends. And so this gift that you can call on me for is that of being able to shift the timeline and from within yourself go back and have, I love this expression that you use, the redo, right? Have a second chance to go back and just in your heart calling up the spirit of that person with whom you had the big conflict and asking me to be there to help you, so that in whatever that now moment is that you are expressing your regret and your sadness and doing a redo how you would have had to handled the situation had you been in a better place, that you can call on me to create that energy that you do in that moment, to be equally present back at the time when it first occurred, sort of a bilocational healing. And then in this way, oftentimes, that can be felt by the person that you had the falling out with, or the group, whatever it was. And hopefully, then when you either initiate or they perhaps spontaneously initiate back with you to start communicating again, there's just a healing that's already occurred. And then you can move forward from there. So that is one of my gifts you can call on me for. I am not in your books as an archangel as such, but I am in that same vibrational plane of the angelic realm. And it's not so important to understand, but just in the way that in companies and such, there's certain who are always in communication with these others, who then communicate with others, just to keep things in sort of an understanding of how the information can flow with the most ease and grace. There is such a thing in the etheric realm as well. So the great God source communicates to the archangels, and then the archangels communicate with those of us who are angels. And most of the time, those of us who are angels are not necessarily documented in many of your books, but there's not really a great distinction amongst us so much energetically from the archangels, more just how long we've been at it and how many people we are assisting, and such like that. But I'm very open because I am in the etheric realm. It's not a problem for me to assist as many people as who would like to have me on their team. So you're welcome to just call upon me. I am considering very fiery, so sometimes it's helpful to light a candle as you're asking me to join with you, and then just holding this energy that I bring, that you hopefully are feeling here through this transmission, asking that to be a part of your spiritual team, or simply to just come in for a particular conflict that you have had that you would like to help having some resolution with. So I hope that's been helpful for you, and I'll await the next question from the channel. Okay, that was good. She actually answered a lot of questions that I'd been kind of feeling all in one fell swoop there. So I think I will just ask just based on what she said. Yeah, so have there been many who have started as the idea of gods or goddesses who have then become living saints and then possibly ended up as angels? Well, there is one I can think of for you as an example. So, that which was known as the Greek god Apollo, of not only knowledge, wisdom, poetry, many things. He started first as a god that people could connect to, and then later on he incarnated as being known as Enoch, who was the keeper of the Akashic records. After Enoch passed, he became an archangel known as Metatron, and he is one of only 2 recognized as archangels that have done so from the human. But I cannot think of another example for you where it went through all the 3 stages of being gods and goddesses, then in human form, then some kind of angel. But I know it has happened, and that's one good example for you there. Do you have any advice for people who are trying to identify who is on their team? This is something people will meet me in sessions. I know I have one. I have faith. I can sense them. I just don't know who they are. Do you have any tips or guidance for them for how to find out who is on their team? Yes, I do. So most of us have been captured at some point by those who are artists, right? Who don't even perhaps necessarily know they are doing it, but they are channeling those of us from the etheric realm who wish to be known to people. And so perhaps you've had even the just barest glimpse of an image. And if so, you can describe what you saw and do a search for images of that, and perhaps you'll recognize something very close to what you saw. And then from there you can find out a little bit more about who it is, and then eventually drop into your heart and say, can you please help me know, are you on my team? And know that oftentimes we're not going to start right away speaking to you in words or images, but your feeling state is true and accurate. So if in your heart there's a lightness when you ask, am I part of your team, you'll have your answer. If you have no images at all that you started with, it still doesn't matter. You could simply take the many books that have been written about various different gods and goddesses, angels, different spirits, different star brothers and sisters, and use it almost like you would a tarot deck, right? Hold the book in your hands and say, I'm intending to know if there are any in here who are on my team. And then, just allow the book to fall open, or get a sense as you're paging through it where to stop or something like that, and then look through, perhaps read about, sense something about that, and see if you get that little inner tingle. Yeah, this sounds like a match for what I've been sensing. And then again, drop into your heart and say, am I getting this accurately? Are you on my team? And if it's something that you really truly resonate and you want on your team, it doesn't really matter if they're there already or not. You could simply ask and say, I really, really resonate. Everything I read about you or sense about you seems like such a fit for me and what it is I feel I would love to do here while I am on Earth. I could definitely use the kind of help you would offer. Would you be willing to be part of my team? Because for certain, if we're in the etheric realm, then we are limitless and we can be in service to many. So hopefully this will help some of you identify your team members. So when you are a goddess or a god, are you also, is it just the sense of you that comes through the writings or the paintings or the teachings of people who are teaching other people about gods and goddesses? Or do you also kind of interact with humanity in the etheric realm, assisting humans? Was it always kind of like an active, ongoing connecting to whoever could sense you, feel you, and be offering guidance even as a god or goddess? Well, yes. But as you'll remember, when I shared with you, originally it was the whole notion of gods and goddesses, because with the density of Earth at that time, that was really one of the main ways to get through. To have those who were able to connect into the etheric realm portray us as these extraordinary, powerful things, beings, that they of course would never be able to see or sense because they couldn't believe that for themselves. So we gave ourselves a title that would be beyond what they could imagine actually having a relationship with. But we did our best to have those who were the channels for what it was we wanted to bring to humanity, to accurately capture that. Now, of course, that didn't always happen. And, each person sees things. We can only communicate with them in a very symbolic way, and how they interpret that symbology has a lot to do with what was already wired into their brain, already in their way of seeing and thinking and feeling about things. And so therefore it wasn't always very accurate, but at least it created in people like an expansion of their energetic field, to just be in the possibility that there were these gods and goddesses that had a huge effect, and that were there as part of the earth and such. So it had its many, many upsides, and also perhaps some downsides. And by downsides, we simply mean that some of the fierce energy that some of the gods or goddesses had got interpreted as like angry or punishing or, going to do something to the humans of this planet if they did not behave in certain ways or make offerings as often as necessary and such the like. And so that has become part of the consciousness that's still here on your planet, and we do wish that were not the case. Yes, we appreciate when you appreciate us, and if there's things that make you feel happy to put on altars as a way of thanking us, then of course this is a beautiful gift to us. But we would never want you to feel that we would not assist with you, or that we would somehow punish you if you hadn't correctly interacted with us. And we hope that those thoughts and ideas will soon be cleared from your earth, and everyone will feel much freer to interact with all that is available to them from the etheric realm. Okay, well, now you have a sense of the goddess, saint, and angel Brigit. By the way, it's Brigid, Brigid, Brigit, Brigit, as the Saint Brigit, but also known as Brigit, spelled Britte, and Mary of Gaul, Gael, and a bunch of other names. And so as that saint's influence spread, for some reason the names and spellings were changed to make more sense in the countries, in the language that we're learning about her. And yeah, if you wish, you can look up more about her, and please go ahead, and if there's any other questions you have for her or other archangels or anything else in the etheric realm that you're curious about and would like to ask a question from, I will do my best to connect to those in future vlogs and get those questions answered for you. So please forward this, please like, and leave me any questions you have. Thank you so much for joining in today, and we'll see you next time.